Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before getting into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the rundown of what happened last night. For those who don't know, Senne Lammens was officially announced and confirmed, so we got that deal over the line. Rasmus Højlund completed his loan move to Napoli. Antony completed his move to Real Betis. Sancho completed his loan move to Aston Villa. And Harry Amas went out on loan to Sheffield Wednesday as well. Interestingly on that, apparently United are paying for everything because Sheffield Wednesday are in a bit of a bad position financially. So apparently United are going to be paying for his wages, his accommodation and everything. I think they just want to develop him, which is shows that I think that they actually do rate Harry Amas and they're looking after him. That's Darren Fletcher's role, isn't it? Now the head of loans as well, so that's interesting. I felt as well, but yeah, they were the official last minute dealings. We've still got potentially exits that we could get done. Malaysia, there's rumours that apparently the Turkish League and Saudi Pro League might be interested in Malaysia, and then we don't know what's going to happen with the goalkeeper situation as well, with Bayender and Onana obviously having officially signed and announced Senne Lammens. And for those that but we know it's not official until we see them holding a shirt and signing the contract. So there is Senne Lammens holding a shirt, and there he is signing his contract as well. So that is officially done and dusted as well. But yeah, it's going to be so overall. Give us your thoughts and feelings on the transfer window. How do you feel it went? Do you think it was a good window, bad window? Just to kind of review all the final dealings: Mateus Cunha, Diego Leon, Brian Mbeumo, Benjamin Sesko, Senne Lammens. A total of around £218 million, depending on which site you go for to fact check your figures and stuff like that as well. I'm actually okay with that. The priority we'll go through in a second. There's been some updates on what the priority was and how United feel about the transfer window in general and stuff. I'm actually okay with that. It's a bit annoying that we got the goalkeeper a bit late, because I think it's already cost us points this season not having a goalkeeper, and the fact that we've gone for a younger up-and-coming profile of goalkeeper. There's still murmurings. We don't know whether he's going to come straight into the first team or whether he's going to be eased in, which is still a concern for future games as well, considering the goalkeeper is a massive issue for us at the moment, with Bayender and Onana both being capable of dropping absolute clangers and not filling anybody with any confidence at the moment. So a lot of pressure on Senne Lammens. That would have been a critique. Could we have got that deal done earlier to give him time to come in and have a pre-season? But, if we've been in a position where we had to wait to sell to buy, and unfortunately the exits that we wanted to get rid of at the start of the transfer window were all dragging their heels and left their exits to last minute as well. And I don't think there's much the club could have done regarding that, because we would have sold Antony on the first day of the transfer window. We had interest from Como. We would have sold Garnacho. He was interested at Napoli at the start of the transfer window as well. But these players did not want to go. They only wanted to go to Chelsea and Real Betis and to the teams that they wanted. Sancho didn't even want a permanent exit in the end. That was revealed yesterday from, I think it was Fabrizio Romano, saying that he didn't want a permanent exit. He only wanted to go on loan, so he wasn't prepared to take a pay cut. He just wants the money. And it's really annoying, because had we managed to get, I think, them done earlier in the transfer window, maybe we could have bought in like Senne Lammens a bit earlier. Maybe we would have had then time to potentially go for a midfield. And that's the only thing for me, the criticism I would have with not bringing in a midfielder. But the problem is we've got so many holes in the squad that need plug-in. Don't think you could do it all in one transfer window anyway. It was never going to be a transfer window where we were going to get every single problem fixed at United. Like, we definitely need a midfielder. I still think we need a wing-back as well as a potential other option. And then that's without then looking into the future around players that are out of contract next summer, like Casemiro, Maguire. There are still going to be problems going forward. But I think we have massively improved the attack, and I think that's already we're already seeing signs of that so far this season. Yes, it's been a disappointing start with the loss to Arsenal, the draw against Fulham. I'm not going to mention Grimsby, and obviously the 3-2 against Burnley sounds like it was a lot closer than what it was. But we're the joint highest team in terms of shots creating, and we're up there with amongst the best teams in the league for like attacking output. So I do think they've had an impact. I think everyone's just a little bit lack of sharpness and rusty and snatching, I think, more at their shots than anything. But in terms of the creativity, I think that Acuna and Bumo have already had an impact. Seska, we need to get up and running and hopefully get him fit and firing as well, because I think he can add another dynamic to the attack as well. So I think the attack is massively improved. It's just a shame we couldn't get that midfielder in. That would have been the icing on the cake as well. But overall, I'm cool with it. You can't fix everything. Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't do everything in one transfer window, because it's not just about us. It's about the teams that want to sell players as well. And obviously, as we hit a roadblock with Baleba because he was going to cost too much money, it is what it is. But overall, I'm not too upset around the incomings. I think we've done about as good as we can in the transfer window for improving the attack anyway. But yeah, criticism would be a midfielder. In terms of outgoings, this was going to be the interesting one for me to see how we dealt with the exits. Garnacho, 40 million. Anthony, 19 million, plus a 50% resale. Rasmus Højlund went on loan, £5 million with an option that turns into an obligation potentially for 38 million. Rashford on loan for 30 million. Sancho, Amos and Collier went out on loan. Lindelof, Ericsson left on a free, and Johnny Evans retired. So without the obligations coming into effect, it's around £60 million it is, in terms of income from the sales from the exits. The annoying one for me is Sancho, but as mentioned, he did not want a permanent exit. He was refusing offers from Roma. I think the Turkish teams were in for him as well, rejecting them, didn't want to play for them, and was holding out for a loan, and we've ended up getting a loan. But it is 80% of his wages covered, could be 100% of his wages covered if he meets certain obligations, including the loan fee as well. So, it is what it is when it comes to the exits. It's just annoying because the problem we've got with selling players is the wages. They're all on big wages, or potentially like troublemakers, and they only wanted to go to the clubs they wanted to go to as well. So I actually don't think it's too bad in terms of the outgoings. But the priorities, we put the bomb squad up for sale, apart from Malacia, who still could leave, because there are talks, as I mentioned, that of him going to the Saudi Pro League or to the Turkish division. I think we've done about as good as we can there as well. It's just frustrating that we couldn't get some of these deals done earlier in the window to then maybe give us a little bit more flexibility to bring somebody else in. But it is what it is, and we are where we are. We know where we stand now in terms of players in. This is the squad we've got up until at least January, and then maybe if we've got a bit of wiggle room, we could strengthen there if needed. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings overall on the transfer dealings in the comments below, as I'm sure you will be interested to hear how you feel and how you rate the transfer window. Let's go back to Senne Lammens. Interestingly, Statman Dave put out saying Senne Lammens in the 90 percentile rank versus other goalkeepers across Europe's top 20 leagues last season. So for saves, he was the top 1%. Goals prevented, top 1%. Crosses stopped, importantly. That's an area that we need to definitely improve on. Top 1%. Save percentage, top 7%. And penalty save, the top 1%. This guy has got, in terms of stats, if you're going to look at stats for a goalkeeper to bring in, ticks every single box of what we would be looking for, which is the reason why that we've gone for him, and why he was prioritised, because he's seen as the best young up-and-coming goalkeeper in world football at the moment, and his stats paint a very pretty picture as well. Obviously, there is a big difference, though, between the Belgian league and the Premier League as well, but if you're good, you're good. And if you're good at doing stuff, you're good at doing stuff as well. So hopefully we can see a bit of that as well. The worry is he going to come into the team straight away? So Sam Sear said that while Lammens is not expected to become first choice immediately following his arrival at Old Trafford from Royal Antwerp, he is considered a long-term option who can develop under Amram's coaching staff. Now, that's a little bit annoying and a little bit concerning. Just that's suggesting that maybe he's not seen as somebody that's going to come in immediately in front of goal, which means we're going to be stuck with either Bayinda or Onana. Personally, I would go with Bayinda ahead of Onana, because I don't necessarily rate Bayinda highly, but having watched the performances so far this season, I mean, Onana was absolutely horrific against Grimsby, not just with the mistakes for the goals, but his distribution is absolutely shocking as well. For somebody that was brought in to be a transformative goalkeeper with the ball at his feet, he hasn't half been a disappointment for that, let alone the mistakes and everything else that comes along with him as well. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Senne Lammens. Is he going to be eased in? I hope. I don't know. I don't know what the right or wrong thing to do. I think if you've signed him, and like I'd happily Senne Lammens make a few mistakes, because the goalkeeper's going to make mistakes anyway. So it doesn't matter who you put in. There's going to be a mistake happening at some point in time in the not so near future. So why not? Why not get him in amongst it? Get him in amongst it. He can't be doing much worse as well. And by all accounts, he's quite a confident character as well. So, but yeah, we'll wait and see. Now going back to Onana. Laurie Whitwell said that Andrew Onana returned to Carrington seeking a new contract, a stance he's held since receiving the standard 25% pay cut for failing to qualify for the Champions League, a move that didn't sit well with Ruben Amorim. So not only was Onana absolutely horrifically shit last season, dropped at the end of the season, and then we had the whole shenanigans, with him and Nemanja Matic and all of that play out, right? And then largely responsible for how shit we were. Definitely, I think, large at fault for the Europa League final as well. I've never seen such a slow goalkeeper or letting easy shots in past him and stuff, right? Not only all of that happened, apparently he rocked up to Carrington after the coming back after they had a little holiday and stuff, and was trying to ask for a new contract as well. Fair play. He's got balls of steel to go in and do that. And we know that he's already tried to negotiate a new contract because of that 25% reduction, when he's partly, if not largely, responsible for us not being in the Champions League in the first place, because in his first season when we signed him, he was absolutely horrific in the Champions League and was largely at fault for the reason why we got knocked out of that tournament as well. And then to have the balls to, after all of that, go back in and say, about this 25% pay cut, can I have a new contract, please, with a pay rise? Like, absolute insanity from Andre Onana. Like that, I mean, fair play. He's got, like, if you don't ask, you don't get, I suppose. But apparently didn't sit well with Amorim. Apparently the reports are as well that he's not happy with the fact that he came back and got injured so quickly as well, because they were concerned about what he's maybe been up to in pre-season or before pre-season and stuff as well. So yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Let's go through the rest of the updates. So Steve Ralston from the Manchester Evening News said that Manchester United did not consider strengthening their midfield as a priority this summer. United sources have said the midfield was never a priority due to already having options that the club views as strong and versatile. I don't believe that for a second, because as we know, we made a move for Carlos Baleba. So why would you make a move for Baleba if you're happy with your midfield options? So Manchester United agreed personal terms with Carlos Baleba, and Ruben Amorim pushed for him. Baleba received positive messages from Andre Onana, Brian Mbeumo and Lenny Yoro, but the club could not justify the price. United are expected to return in the future. So Laurie Whitwell is effectively saying that through the intermediaries and the talks that we had, it was believed that maybe they would do a deal for around the João Pedro amount, around £60 million. But then when we inquired a little bit further, we realised it was going to be like £100 million plus. Respectfully walked away from the deal, that because it's it's obviously a massive amount of money when we needed to obviously look at other priorities as well, i.e. a goalkeeper. So the Manchester Evening News saying we weren't interested in midfielder because we're happy with what we've got, but we know full well we were chasing Carlos Baleba. Laurie Whitwell also said that other midfielders were considered, including Atalanta's Edison, Stuttgart's Angelo Stiller, and Arden Jassiri, who went from Club Brugge to AC Milan. He would have been a good shout. Adam Wharton at Palace and Morton Hulman at Sporting, we know about that. Have admirers at United, and Leon's Tolisso 31 was a budget option. I would have liked that, when we were linked with Tolisso as well, I kind of looked at his stats and data stuff. I know he's a little bit older and he's outside of the profile of player that we're looking for, but I think we were quoted around £10 million for him as well. Very good player. I thought he was good against us as well in the Europa League last season, so that wouldn't have been a bad shout to bring in at the end. But again, we know we're not necessarily looking at bringing in those sort of players, but for a budget option, that wouldn't have been a bad shout. There were reports as well about Conor Gallagher, that United made a last-minute inquiry about him, but we were looking for a loan. Atletico Madrid wanted a loan with an obligation to buy, so they wanted something more permanent, and if we're in a position where he's not seen as he was seen as a stopgap signing, I don't think that would have been the right move neither as well. But yeah, still a concern, the midfield. I share your thoughts and comments. I think majority of comments that I've been reading over the last few weeks and stuff have all been saying about the midfield. It is a worry of mine. Like we've got as many goalkeepers in the squad now as we have midfielders, and we've got 4 goalkeepers and we've got 4 midfielders. Like that is massively concerning. So we'll just have to wait and see. And remember, Ruben Amorim wants a midfielder. In my opinion, like he's not in charge of the transfer strategy and the budget. That's Jason Wilcox, Christopher Vivell, Omar Barada. They're all in charge of that as well. It's like a team effort. If he's asking for areas to be strengthened and he's not getting them, I think we need to bear that in mind as well when we're critical of the midfield. I do think he's got the options though to pick and choose. Like he can pick out of the 4 that we've got, but you know it's going to be a challenge. I think for at least until January, where maybe it gives us more time to scout and look into somebody potentially from there. In terms of the priority, Sam C was saying, after a thorough review of the 24-25 season informed the strategy, internal analysts pointed clearly to the attack as the area most in need of investment. While other departments were assessed, Manchester United concluded that a more clinical forward line was the biggest requirement if the team was to compete at the top end of the Premier League. So Sam C saying that when they reviewed the season, the priority was the attack. They prioritised the attack, which is why, you know, we've gone Sesko and Mbeumo Cunha, 2 very good Premier League experienced players, at a big premium though as well, rather than budget options or cheaper alternatives that you maybe could have got from Europe. We've gone for 2 ready-made, proven players, and I think both of them have started to see they've actually got. Like I think Cunha can get better. I think Mbeumo can get better as well. So I'm happy with those. And then obviously Benjamin Sesko was seen as the younger player to bring in to develop alongside Mbeumo and Cunha as well. And that's why they went for it. They went for that, the priority, strengthen the attack, and then maybe next summer it'll be the midfield. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Laurie Whitworth said a similar thing though as well, saying that Manchester United hesitated between signing a number 6 or a number 9. Some felt that a midfielder should have been the priority, but Jason Wilcox argued in favour of signing a striker, and Ratcliffe supported this decision as well. So according to Laurie Whitwell, some internal conflict around whether to go for a number 6 or a number 9. The powers that be prioritised a number 9 over a number 6, and apparently Christopher Vivell is very much leading the race for Benjamin Sesko as well for his signature. So again, we need to bear this in mind when we're, you know, sat here moaning that we're getting overrun in the midfield against Chelsea, City in our next game, and then Chelsea after that. That there was a conscious decision made by whoever it is at the club to prioritise a striker over a midfielder, because we prioritised the attack as the main thing that we wanted to fix this summer. And you'll have your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments, as I'm sure you're going to share them as well. Interestingly, though, on the striker situation, Danny Welbeck was a name that came up in conversation. So after missing out on Liam Delap, Manchester United considered proposing a 2-year contract to Danny Welbeck if they could agree on a fee with Brighton. So Jim Ratcliffe was known to feel United could not sanction a 2-year deal for a player who was 35 in November, and instead a 1+1 was discussed, but the offer was not formalised. So internally, when we missed out on Liam Delap, they were potentially looking at going maybe for Danny Welbeck as a stopgap, keeping Rasmus, and then potentially going for a midfielder. But then the priority changed, and we went for Sesko, and then obviously that meant that Rasmus Højlund had to be removed because obviously his pathway to the first team was blocked from that as well. But that would have been interesting. Højlund and Welbeck, I mean, that wouldn't have been a bad shout if you could have got a midfielder. I'm sure some of you maybe would have done that because we'll all have different thoughts and feelings on that. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding Grimsby. So, interestingly, Grimsby Town played an ineligible player in their Carabao Cup match against Manchester United. So apparently one of the players that played, they didn't register until like 1 minute past 12 or something, and the deadline was 12 o'clock. They've now been fined by the EFL £20,000 for fielding an ineligible player. Simon Stone was saying that Manchester United have been informed that they have 5 days to decide whether they want to appeal the decision of Grimsby fielding an ineligible player during the Carabao Cup match. So we could effectively, because I think they could potentially be kicked out, and if they got kicked out, potentially we could then be given like a pass for that game because they fielded a player that was ineligible to play. Whether United will do that or not, or whether we're just going to, you know, suck it up, accept our fate, because imagine the uproar if we decide to appeal that. Grimsby get kicked out. I mean, technically they broke the rules, and they broke the law, and if they broke the rules, they broke the rules. But I don't know how we'll play with that as well. But that will be a turn up for the books as well. One of our most embarrassing results in recent history, losing to Grimsby in the Carabao Cup, could be overturned because they fielded an ineligible player, and we could do an appeal and potentially get a pass. But I don't know how that would work out as well. But that would be an interesting turn of events anyway. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. See you in the next one.